Tupperware files for bankruptcy. Amazon increases pay to $22 per hour, and childcare costs soar. America is definitely changing. It is quite different in so many ways compared to how it was in the 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s. Back then, Tupperware products became very popular, and women often hosted Tupperware parties. This was something that was really popular in America. For those of you who didn't know, Tupperware was developed by Earl Tupper in the mid-1940s. Top-selling women were rewarded by the Tupperware company. They started to have Jubilee events for top salespeople. These events were hosted in Florida. The first Jubilee was in 1954. They gave out all types of prizes, such as blenders and even mink coats. Today, I read an article on foxbusiness.com written by Breck Dumas titled, "Decades-Old Kitchen Staple Company Tupperware Files for Bankruptcy." According to the author, Tupperware Brands Corporation has filed for bankruptcy just months after the iconic American food storage container maker shuttered its last remaining plant in the U.S. amid financial woes. They will be closing their facility in Hemingway, South Carolina, and laying off 148 people. The layoffs will begin in September. This is their final plant closure. Well, my friends, it is the end of an era here in America. I can't believe it. Who would have thought a brand that was so deeply ingrained in American culture would file for bankruptcy and close their final plant? It's unbelievable to me. We had a lot of Tupperware growing up. I vividly remember these yellow containers with a star pattern type lid on them. I always thought the Tupperware containers were really cool. I wish these 148 people getting laid off the best. I hope they can secure new employment in short order. I also hope they have a well-funded emergency account to rely on until then. Now, there is something else I found to be interesting in this article. Tupperware said in a statement last year that it sold its Hemingway plant and planned to transition operations to Lerma, Mexico. It also said most of its products sold in the U.S. and Canada were already made at that plant. Well, my friends, this is a sign of the times here in America. It seems like so many companies want to send production to other countries in an attempt to maximize profits. I wish we were the manufacturing powerhouse that we once were during the glory days of Tupperware back in the 1950s and 1960s. There were a lot of good factory jobs back then that paid a livable wage, and many companies provided a lifetime pension as well. Life was so different back then. I'm afraid we are never going back. But what do I know? I'm just some guy on YouTube. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I read another interesting article today. This one was on CNBC.com, written by Annie Palmer, titled, "Amazon Increases Average Pay for Warehouse Workers and Adds Free Prime Membership Perk." According to the author, Amazon is hiking wages for U.S. warehouse workers to more than $22 an hour. It is also adding a new employee perk that will give them a free Prime subscription. Prime costs $140 a year and comes with access to speedy shipping, video streaming, and other benefits. Here are my thoughts. It's great that Amazon is upping the pay for workers, but $22 per hour isn't going to be enough to buy a home in a good area with a highly rated school. It's also not going to be enough to afford all of the expenses associated with a home and still afford a car, especially since the average transaction price for a new vehicle in August of this year was $47,870. I guess $22 per hour is good if you are going to live at home with your parents or if you have a spouse that is earning good money. Earning $22 per hour at Amazon is just not going to be enough to support a family or have much of a lifestyle in many areas of the United States. In terms of Amazon giving employees a free Prime subscription, this reminds me of when I was working in a factory decades ago. For Christmas, Some of my friends who worked at different companies got big cash bonuses for the holidays. The factory gave us the choice between a ham or a turkey. Oh boy, that's going to help factory workers afford to put presents under the tree for their families. I'm sure that's how some Amazon workers feel about getting a free Prime subscription. Yes, you do get streaming with that, but they still have ads on the shows. I really liked it before they had all of these ads. A free Prime subscription is not going to help these employees afford rent, their car payments, car insurance, groceries, or childcare. This is a perfect time to transition to the next article that I read today, which was on foxbusiness.com, written by Breck Dumas, titled, "Childcare for 2 kids now costs nearly 40% more than rent across 100 largest U.S. metros." The author of this article referenced a new study from LendingTree, which found the cost of sending 2 young children to full-time daycare is now 40% more expensive than the average rent across the nation's 100 largest metros. The author went on to say, the average monthly cost of full-time, center-based childcare for an infant and a 4-year-old across the 100 largest U.S. metros is $2,182 per month, which is 39.4% higher than the average monthly cost to rent a 2-bedroom unit, which is $1,566 per month. Well, my friends, I hate to hear about this. I really don't know how some families are able to deal with all of this. I want to reflect on something I said earlier. I said earning $22 per hour at Amazon is just not going to be enough to support a family or have much of a lifestyle in many areas of the United States. I stand by that statement, especially in light of the information about the average monthly cost of full-time center-based childcare for 2 kids. Even if you are an amazing budgeter and you found cheap housing somewhere and you can pull this off on $22 per hour, you probably aren't able to set aside any money for retirement, which is problematic from my perspective. Here's why. If you are working in an Amazon warehouse, that job is very physical. That's not a job you will want to still be doing when you are 70, 75, or 80 years old. If you can't set aside any money for retirement, you might still be doing that job when you are that old if your body isn't completely broken down by that point. Do you see the problem we have here in America? We have wages that are not keeping pace with the rising cost of just about everything that people need to survive. People are barely hanging on, and they can't begin to think about saving for their future. When that future eventually arrives, we may have a full-blown humanitarian crisis on our hands here in America. What are people going to do? Where are they going to live? How are they going to afford food? Social Security isn't going to cut it. That's the grim reality from my perspective. I don't know why more people aren't sounding the alarm about this. I guess it's easier to just go about life and not worry about the future at all. It'll work itself out somehow. I think that's being delusional. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. If you would like to become a channel member, there is a link in the description beneath this video. You can read more about the different membership levels. Please also check out some of the great books that I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.